A choking emergency unfolds in seconds. It happens fast enough to account for 100,000 emergency room visits every single year. This bar chart of unintentional deaths reveals the scale of the threat, with choking sitting right here in the number 4 position overall. The established response to this threat is standard first aid: assess the victim, deliver firm back blows, and if those fail, perform the Heimlich maneuver. But these physical interventions have a ceiling. They can fail to dislodge the object, cause internal injury if performed incorrectly, or in some situations be physically impossible to execute. That specific point of failure is where the LifeVac comes in. It is an FDA-authorized mechanical suction device engineered entirely for the scenario where standard protocols don't work. Surviving a severe airway obstruction requires knowing established physical techniques, but it also requires a concrete plan for the exact moment those techniques fall short. The decision to add a LifeVac to your home brings us to a specific financial reality. You're paying roughly $80 for a device meant to be used exactly once. That $80 kit comes with 4 components: an adult mask, a pediatric mask, a practice mask, and the main suction unit. The immediate question for many buyers is whether having this tool on hand makes standard CPR and Heimlich training unnecessary. This emergency response flowchart maps out the exact opposite. LifeVac is strictly a second-line treatment, intentionally positioned at the very end of the sequence, only to be used after physical protocols have failed. Evaluating this device means weighing the $80 cost and the responsibility of learning how to use it against the peace of mind of having a final mechanical failsafe. The core engineering of the LifeVac relies on a patented one-way valve built into the plunger. Looking at this cross-section schematic of the valve, you can see how it functions. When pushed down, air escapes outward. When pulled back, it creates unidirectional suction, preventing the dangerous outcome of accidentally forcing the lodged object deeper during initial compression. For that suction to actually materialize, the user faces a strict physical constraint. The mask must form a completely tight, unbroken seal around the victim's face. Achieving that flawless seal is extremely difficult when you are dealing with a panicked, thrashing patient who is actively suffocating. Because the actual suction unit must stay pristine and ready for a real emergency, buyers have to rely entirely on the included dummy mask to practice achieving this seal. The device's mechanical theory is sound, but its success in the real world hinges entirely on your absolute physical preparation and your ability to stabilize a patient under extreme stress. If you do deploy the device, it must be thrown away immediately afterward. This strict single-use rule maintains sanitary standards and ensures the mechanical integrity of the valve is never compromised. This means every real-world deployment effectively costs another $80 to replace the kit. From a medical and legal standpoint, its FDA authorization dictates that you must never delay traditional back blows or the Heimlich maneuver to retrieve this device. There's also a firm physical threshold established by the manufacturer. The pediatric mask is only guaranteed for patients weighing at least 22 pounds. This medical benchmark graphic shows exactly what that looks like, aligning that 22-pound minimum with the size of an average 1-year-old toddler. While there are reports of successful off-label use on infants below that threshold, parents doing so are operating entirely outside the manufacturer's strict safety guidelines. Knowing these specific physical and legal limits protects buyers from false confidence and ensures the device is applied safely to the correct demographics. To determine if that $80 price tag makes sense for your specific situation, we need to match the device against individual buyer profiles. This comparison matrix charts out the utility for different households. For parents of toddlers, the utility is extremely high, requiring thorough training to avoid skipping the Heimlich maneuver. For solitary adults, the utility profile differs, primarily because you cannot effectively perform the Heimlich on yourself. For those individuals, keeping a home kit accessible provides a rare, critical option to self-administer airway clearance when nobody else is around to help. Doing this requires the presence of mind to retrieve the device, form a tight seal, and plunge the mechanism while actively losing oxygen. For private households, you are ultimately buying a reliable mechanical backup for small children, or a primary solitary lifeline if you live entirely alone. On a larger scale, schools and corporate workplaces are increasingly evaluating bulk deployments of specialized school and EMS kits. This is being driven by rising legislative mandates that are reclassifying airway clearance devices from optional safety accessories to required compliance gear. Texas recently passed a first-of-its-kind law mandating these devices in all public schools, signaling a major shift in institutional safety standards. But buying the kits is the easy part. Institutions must implement comprehensive staff training protocols so employees know exactly when the device should be deployed in a crisis. The LifeVac is a scientifically sound insurance policy for both individual households and large organizations. But owning one dictates a specific sequence. You buy the unit, you watch the training video, and practice sealing the dummy mask before you ever actually need it. It is an $80 fail-safe that requires proactive preparation, purchased with the specific hope that you never have to take it out of the box.